Hey everyone, it's Wednesday morning. It's time for some Weird Wednesday blitz and classical chess. I'm going to be playing like unusual stuff, different openings. We're going to have some fun with lines that I don't normally play. I kind of look forward to this day because it's just relaxing and kind of cool to be able to play different stuff and not like have to focus on on playing the opening perfectly and whatnot, but more like experiments and just fun gambits and whatever we can think of. So anyway, kind of a fun stream. Yesterday we had the viewer tournament. That was cool, 5-0. And I think the players who like the faster time controls appreciate that time control. I finished like 4th or 5th, I don't remember. And we've got already challenges here from Aldisto, Lousy Dirty Cheater, Constant Change. Last time Constant Change, he was unable to play. I think he was one of the later challengers. So it'll be good to get a game against him for the first time in a long time. Maybe we did play one game, Constant Change. Yeah, okay. I did win a game the other day, like a couple days ago. Maybe it was Monday. Right. I know you said you were rusty and you haven't played, so I could sense that. Just so you know, Tuesday nights I have a viewer tournament here. It's probably too late for you though. Asian continent players, India, it's the time zone there might be too late. I don't know. It's 7 p.m. here, so it's gonna be late for players significantly to the east. So maybe too late for you guys to play. I'm not sure, but anyway, just so you know, 7 p.m. on Tuesday nights. Tomorrow night I have a viewer stream, and I forgot to actually send a message for that. Let me do that now. Before we get started, I want to send a message to everybody who's a subscriber and just verify that they know that we have a subscriber stream on Thursday night. I meant to do it last night. So Thursday subscriber stream, and we're going to be doing game analysis and blitz. (7 p.m. CEST on Thursday night). All right. I misspelled something there, but it's all right. Everybody will understand what I was talking about. I should be a little more careful. All right, here we go. So let's play. Aldisto is up 7+2. I've got to remember that we're playing unusual openings. Wonder if the Blumenfeld counts Aldisto. I noticed you were playing the Blumenfeld, which is awesome because I'm working on that opening right now and just starting to do so. I used to play it some years ago, but you played a really interesting game against me last week or so, and I think I saw you play the Blumenfeld in one of your games. But anyway, we're facing e4, so it's a non-issue here. Unusual openings. What do we do? Yeah, let's try this Alekhines defense against Aldisto. Okay, I play the Alekhines defense occasionally, but I think it has to be classified as kind of on the borderline between unusual openings and standard. Not many players play it well, and not many players play it at all, actually. I wonder about playing back to G8, though. I don't really know this. I've never played the so-called Brooklyn variation. I'm not sure why it's called the Brooklyn variation. If anybody can explain that to me, I'm kind of curious. But one interesting fact is that Joel Benjamin, I think, was from Brooklyn, and he played an early game with this, for modern chess. Zoltan Varga told me that actually the opening with knight g8 was like the original way that people were playing the Alekhines defense or Alekhine years ago in the early part of the 20th century or whatever. I did not know that, you know, until he told me. I thought it was like a modern experiment or something. So the funny thing about it is that I think renewed interest, Magnus Carlsen played it maybe in a game. I think there's been renewed interest because when you play this opening with the computer, at least with Stockfish, I saw it likes knight g8 better than knight to d5. And you know, the knight to d5, knight to b6. To be honest, I play the Scandinavian with knight f6 as well, which is kind of similar to the Alekhine. The problem is that the knight on b6 tends to be really badly placed. Where is everybody? Morning streams. So what would Zoli Varga do here, for example? I mean, I guess you can always play something like c6, which looks like a safe move. c6, g6. But I don't know the book here, if there is book. Knight d7 looks a little too risky. There is bishop g4, but I'm not really confident in that either. I don't know what we're supposed to do. I'm going to make it up as we go along. Wow, Trouts. It's only fit that I begin with a line that may immortalize the Brooklyn-born GM. It was Benjamin, after all, who renamed the Alekhine's defense retreat variation after his hometown. I was wondering, where did you get this? Okay, the name stuck. IM's Andrew Martin and Carlo Rossi have played it on occasion, but Benjamin clearly did the most to convince people. The seemingly preposterous. Thank you, Trouts. I thought, at least my instincts were right. I didn't know that Joel played it like on a regular basis. There was one game in a very old book on Alekhine's defense by, I don't know who wrote the book, John Nunn, or I'm not really sure who was the author of this book, like the Alekhine for the Tournament Player, something like that. The Alekhine. I'll try to pronounce it correctly. What am I supposed to do here? Hold on. Just hold on a second. Pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, queen takes d4, knight takes f7. That's a fun variation. Did you guys see this? Pawn takes pawn, knight takes. If queen takes pawn, knight takes f7. Very uncomfortable for black, actually. So it makes sense, though. I've got to do something to develop here. I mean, maybe g6 would be playable. Alright. Enough is enough. You remember... You didn't copy and paste that? So there's something strange about the fact that some information is kind of missing, because I mean, Varga claims, you know, that it's actually existed like far before that. Okay, it was called the retreat variation. But Varga is like an expert on the Alekhine. I mean, he plays it like as much as anybody. So Aldisto kind of lets me achieve this strategic thing where we can isolate the e5 pawn as a target. There are other lines in this opening that are going along these lines. So basically, this pawn is not really ideal for white. It's kind of like taking on d5 with the pawn on the white side of the Sicilian. You no longer have that outpost. I think Aldisto is playing a little bit quick here. This pawn could prove very difficult to defend. Now the structure is basically like a Carol Connor Scandinavian. Oh, you did copy and paste it. I thought so. But you're excellent with the copy and pasting. I thought you just committed it to memory. That would be impressive, dude. Now, knight d7. So Zoli Varga plays all these really weird lines too, with like a very early c6. He'll even do like e4 c6. I should try this once. e4 c6, d4 knight f6, and then d5 knight d5, and then knight goes back to c7. It doesn't seem like black gets enough control of the center in that type of line, but Zoli's just kind of gambling that people, you know, in unfamiliar territory misplay the position. It seems like it would be fairly easy though for white to find a way to get, you know, an advantage against that. But what's really striking, as I mentioned, is the fact that the computer literally likes knight g8 better than knight to d5. And my feeling again goes back to that key point that the knight on b6 is always badly placed. Okay, we're going to be all over that e5 pawn here. This is a weakness too, but I think that's kind of one of those somewhat poisoned pawns. We want to roll out the pieces here. I don't want to be like grabbing a pawn on b2 and watching a knight go from d2 to c4, etc. etc. There's no space for pieces here. I need to play this bishop takes f3, bishop h5, bishop g6, and things would get too congested. Another normal idea here, queen c7. Queen c7 looks interesting. I mean, maybe knight g6 is just too much of a concession. I'm running out of time here. I mean, knight g6, I guess it's okay. Queen c7. Am I threatening to take the pawn? Or is it like just a bluff? Does it even matter? I don't like my queen on the d file, for one thing. But I don't know if this move is energetic enough. Well, that does give us the option to castle queenside, but his queen on f3 will always be harassing the f7 pawn, so I've got to move like both my knights to get clearance for that. Knight d5 is just probably a normal idea, but I'm thinking that knight will eventually get kicked out. I feel like this is kind of playing into his hands a little bit, but I'm running out of time. Maybe not so bad. Bishop takes, pawn takes. Knight c3, bishop b4, or bishop takes, pawn takes. Knight d2, bishop e7, and he can't play knight e4 without dropping the e5 pawn, for whatever that's worth. Probably not much. Wow, okay. Bishop b4 now. Just don't want to see a knight on e4. If he does, he's going to be sacking the exchange. This is not necessarily the only way to play, but I'm getting kind of low on time. I want to keep it simple. What do you think about d4, f5, h3, knight f6, g4? That's interesting, Diavin. I never really thought about it too much, to be honest with you. I mean, I played queen d3. What am I talking about? I played g4, Korchnoi. I mean, I don't know. It's attributed to Korchnoi. I'm sure it's not his like invention, but he apparently had played it. This looks like I'm playing like the Caro-Kann against Constant Change or something. He likes these kind of positions. I'm gonna have to take this off, and now white has this space advantage that's sort of disturbing. This could be kind of tricky. I don't want to see a rook get to d6. What am I gonna do? As I said, I felt like maybe I was playing into his hands, and it feels that way a little bit here. How do I keep the d6 under control? Try some sort of desperate measures. Okay, I'm threatening knight d5. It's a fork, and it would force an exchange of pieces, which is good. But I don't think I played this optimally. Nah, he's got some moves here for sure. White stands better. I'm not sure about that move though. That looks like a really lame move. Okay, the time pressure is affecting his play as well. Okay, it's morning for everybody, so we're probably not quite warmed up yet. But bishop e3 doesn't look right. You know, worst case scenario, I can just trade into a relatively equal ending. I was thinking about b5, of course, but that's very artificial. Queen d4 is like only move. Or queen b3, actually, yeah. I like just made the move for him, I think. He's threatening bishop c5, so I think this is mandatory. Took with the queen, so I can't castle queenside. Oh, there is a slight problem with that b6 pawn, huh? Queen b6. I don't want these pawns to be hanging. I meant a7 when I said b6. Anyway, hopefully we'll hold a draw here. But I misplayed it. You know, I'm sure that I had a decent position when I had that bishop f4 e5 originally set up. We don't want him to get like a fix on d6. A rook on d6 that I can't get rid of. But now, I'm not even sure if this is a good move, honestly, to play f6. Maybe I'll avoid like a king and pawn endgame. I'm not really sure what's up with that. The king and pawn endgame could be kind of tricky. Though objectively shouldn't really be lost. He could get a more outside pawn with like g3 and h4 and g4 and h5. That kind of thing could happen, which I don't like. Plus I have a defective pawn structure on the other side, which doesn't help. So structure-wise, white is better here. The pawns are not exactly symmetrical. This idea of g4, h4, and h5 in the king and pawn endgame, giving him an outside pawn. Still, it might not do anything in many situations. Alright, so we've got the marauding rook. We want to just check him and take the file. Okay, objectively it's like equal, I guess. Just a tiny bit uncomfortable with that pawn alignment on the king side. As I said, I'm thinking g5, but that might even make the situation. I said that strangely. It might even make the situation worse. Yeah, draw's okay. It looks like a draw to me. The engine's got it at 0.2 for me now, 0.1. But I don't think it's realistically better for black. 0.1 maybe. Alright guys, let's see the opening. Did I have anything? Did I play this correctly? Another question. I don't know about Aldisto putting his bishop on d3. It seems kind of weird. Okay, d6, d4. Okay, c6 was played by Carlsen. Wow. In 2014. I mean, it just felt kind of right to me. Apparently bishop g4 right away is the main move. But c6 has won 2 games. Romain Edwards? No. Edward. No, it wasn't him. So the bishop g4 has a bad score. D takes e5 has a decent score. This might be the best. Takes Romain Edward. I called him Edwards. And knight d7. Okay, this makes sense. No, knight takes f7. I don't think this is going to work in this position. TN, you saw it first here. It's tempting. Wow, the computer kind of likes this. Dude, like king takes f7. Knight d2 the computer wants to play. Wow. That's awesome. With compensation for the piece. But realistically, no, I don't think so. Anyway, guys, that was fun. We're going to go back to Lousy, Dirty, Cheater, Constant Change, Trouts. Whoever's a subscriber, I should play first. So Trouts, Ayeste. These guys are subscribers. Mule Skinner. I promise I'm going to play you Constant Change if it's the last thing I do. Just hang out with us. So Diovin, anyway, speaking of that question you had with the Dutch, you know, I've seen G4. Okay, H3 should be pretty interesting. Beefy pawn clouds. Pawn islands. Okay, we're playing unusual openings today. Against Trouts, I'm going to open with the Dunst opening. 8+3 gives us plenty of time to chatter and play at the same time. You know, it's all fine to play like 3-0 with tricks only, but you know, I mean, you can't commentate on the game or anything. So knight f6. He's inviting e4 in a sense. We would transpose to another kind of Aliokin after e4 d5. Also possible from the Scandinavian. Okay, the main move is d5 against knight c3. So what are we going to do here? Veresov opening or e4. After e4 he can play e5. We transpose to the normal stuff. What can I do? Not that many options here. Knight f3, d4, or e4. Or something like totally non-theoretical, like g3. Just thinking what could lead to an interesting opening. You can't really force an unusual opening. It's not that easy unless you play something just total garbage. I could play h4. I think there's this guy, he's dead now. There was this guy, Hungarian guy named Kadas, who was a master. And Kadas played h4. He would play h4. I could just do that. Like, I think there is a book on the Dunst opening that even includes a variation on like 2h4. So here, like Ayesta, you just showed up. You're actually playing this kind of stuff, aren't you? Sometimes, like bishop f4. I mean, the main move in the Veresov is bishop g5, right? Did Rapport do something weird like e3 in a game I saw? Yeah, let's try it. This is really strange, but I thought that we have two ideas. We can transfer to a kind of weird Queen's Gambit accepted, which I've seen Richie do, or we can try to turn into a strange stonewall attack, which is probably what we're going to have to do after g6. I mean, my idea was it may be garbage for white, but at least we get some space here. Otherwise, we're burying our bishop on c1 for nothing. There would be no real point to this e3. Probably not really good for white. We're playing basically a very odd stonewall with the knight on c3, but I'm going to give it a try. Bishop g5. Knight c3 is not an unusual opening. Usually transposes to normal stuff. Well, I mean, to be fair, Diovin, you know, if you did like, I don't know, if you just took my lifetime games, like where people were white and looked at the first move, I've probably taken part in like 2,500 tournament games in my life, maybe. I think that knight c3 has only been played, like, you could count it on one hand. So that, you know, amongst the legitimate, quote-unquote legitimate openings, knight c3 is by far like the least common. I mean, I think that even b3 has been played against me more than knight to c3. I've definitely faced f4, b3, you know, all the like second most, you know, common types of moves. At least in my own practice, I've probably faced less than knight to c3. Basically, it's like a weird stonewall Dutch here. How are we going to make this setup work? I don't know, I like black. We'll just play the best we can. The bishop feels like it could go to e2, but that move is inordinately passive. So it's the stonewall attack, but the knight's on c3. This is definitely weird. If knight c3 on move 1 wasn't, the idea of playing e3 with a stonewall attack is. I think I've seen this somewhere, though. Okay, we're going to try to do like the standard sort of bishop d2, bishop e1. Get the bishop into the game strategy. Let's see how Trouts handles this. You know, you could even play bishop f5 for black. But it doesn't really solve all of his developmental problems. But I didn't want to play bishop g5 because that's really the most common of all the Veresov lines. Well, Trouts goes for it with c5 now. This is, I think, probably the best. If I take, he has all sorts of options. Too late to play the Queen's Gambit accepted for me. If I take, it looks like knight a6 is good. Or just knight d7. I guess knight a6 I could theoretically take on a6. He has lots of moves, though. I mean, he could just play like queen c7, recapture, queen a5, recapture with the queen on c5. I have a bad position after that. I probably have a bad position anyway, but Rapport would make it work. We've got ambulances, all the good stuff here. Now, if he does play c4, he locks the center, which will change the position, probably. Still good for him. I mean, he could push this pawn. Not everybody's style to push the pawn, though. If you like tension, this is not like your favorite move. So I think I have a position that I don't really believe in. I wouldn't normally play this stuff. But we are here. We're going to play the best we can. Bishop on g7 looks awful against the stone wall. You know, I have this against our moderator, Jeroen, a lot, who plays the stone wall constantly with white. And yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, it is really hard to play against that constantly. Knight c6, so Trouts just keeps the tension here. Looks like the best. If I take on c5 now, it's a little harder for him to get the pawn back, but I guess he still goes, you know, with the queen a5 type of stuff. If I could get an e4, it wouldn't be so bad, like d takes c, queen a5, e4, queen takes c5 check, king h1. Wonder how bad that position is for me. Pawn takes e4, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop takes e4. Black's just slightly better. Queen e1. I hope this is not as bad as it looks. Gets out of potential pins with the bishop on g4. What else does it do? Heads to the king side. We're basically playing like it's some kind of weird Stonewall Dutch. Sometimes I play f4 on move 1. I mean, but typically you need the Stonewall pawn on c3 to support the center. I'm not sure how he can exploit it. I mean, d4 looks a little sensitive. We have a little bit better control over e4, though. In the normal Stonewall Dutch, I wouldn't have a knight on c3, and I'd have other problems. Okay, so now Trouts exchanges on d4, which I think, you know, in a purist sense might be a mistake. Normally, making this exchange too early is like releasing the tension. in white's favor, but he has some justifications here, like knight b4 is possible. If he does go knight b4, knight takes d3, I'll be taking with the pawn, probably. Getting those double isolated pawns in the center. A lot of people underestimate the value of those. This is obviously a move that could exchange pieces and mess up my structure. I guess the queen on e1 there would be kind of weirdly placed. Maybe not, though. I mean, we're still going to execute this plan. If knight b4, queen h4, knight takes d3, pawn takes d3, bishop f5 is a little awkward. I guess I can always just chuck a knight into e5 to protect d3 and like prepare g4. World Loser, what's up? Yeah, this move looks slow. It looks very, very slow for black. I could play a slow move too with a3. I guess we're going to continue with our pre-programmed plan. Is f5 an idea? Like a Grand Prix attack. That's what this feels like. It's a cross between the Stonewall attack and like the Grand Prix. Because the knight's on c3, I feel like I'm playing the white side of the Sicilian, you know? But because the pawns are the way they are, it's, yeah, that's basically what it is. A cross. Trouts has a tendency to use more time than me, which is refreshing. It's nice to actually win on time against people. I'm normally like always suffering on the clock. I've got like just a very few drop frames here, probably not a problem. Okay, so f5. We sack a piece on g5. It looks pretty dangerous. The other option is like knight e2, but that's passive and lame. f5, we go there, g5, sack a piece. Which way? I guess the bishop. I mean, is this really sound to sack a piece on g5? Doesn't seem like enough. It doesn't feel like enough for me. Alright, Trouts. You win. I just don't see the sacrifice quite sound enough with f5. My intuition was pushing me to do it, but we'll check after the game. If f5, g5, I just wasn't confident I have enough there. So I'm stopping knight b4. I guess there's something like queen b6. I could play king h1. Nope. That doesn't work. Queen b6. Well, there's just bishop e3. Then he has an annoying move, knight to g4, knight takes d5. There's a cute queen trap there. Queen b6, bishop e3, queen takes b2, knight a4. There's also queen b6, bishop e3. Okay, this is just a lame, slow move. I don't know, maybe you should even consider e6. I mean, bishop d7 feels too routine to me. Always useful to play king h1. Yeah, I guess he's planning something like rook c8, you know, the next logical move. Just feels like he should do something more active. I mean, I don't know if he can play like, this is an interesting plan though, queen c8, looking at the white squares. Pretty cool. I could do to f5 anyway, but he just takes with the bishop. And it looks like he's planning to play like bishop f5. That's a nice move, dude. There are some holes in his position though. Knight a4, threatening b6. Doesn't really do anything. Knight a4, rook b8, and then what? Even f5 is possible here. All right, I'm running out of time. This move is probably dubious, but can I just sack a piece again? We're trying to use the time to my advantage. Sack the bishop and play like rook f3. Oh, he took that way. Okay, I didn't expect him to take that way. It's okay. It's it's like a safe move. Safer in a way. He could have played g5. I figure I'm going to have to sack my bishop on g5 for 2 pawns and some unclear chances. But objectively, I don't know. It feels like white has some chances here. With his king side a little bit weakened now. He can't play knight e4. Bishop takes d3. Pawn takes d3. I kind of like my position. Feels like I'm much freer than black. I don't really want to take on g7, but I think he's threatening something there. Knight g5. Do I have that? Knight g5, bishop f6. Man, this may be a blunder. Maybe not. This intermezzo. Now I thought, could he play e6 there? Poor Trout's like it's mated. That was really bad. Could he have played e6 after bishop takes f5? Wow, weird game, man. Yeah, I knew the time would bring you down. You're worse than me with the time pressure. So apparently this f5 is my best move. Wow. I was totally non-confident in that. I wasn't sure about g5. I was going to sack a bishop on g5. With ideas, yeah, the computer likes knight takes. Wow. Knight takes. Apparently it's like devastating. Okay. H takes g. So something with the bishop on d3. Oh man. With like f6, if knight h7, I have f6. Oh. Whoa. That hurts. So you could not do g5. You had to do bishop takes f5, bishop takes h6. Okay, so the computer says you're like a tiny bit better here. You should just take on d3. Trade pieces, dude. If you trade pieces, that's less pieces that can hurt you. And now you can trade queens. Oh man. Then I just have like this worse structure. Yeah, that's the plan. Nice move though, queen c8, man. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay. Ayeste Muleskinner up next. Yeah, queen g4 just totally kills my attack. Now I'm left groveling in this slightly worse ending. I did not even think about it. Queen c8 is such an unusual move, though. I made fun of bishop d7. It was a little passive, but actually, I'm sure it's not the best move for black. Bishop f5. You know what? mean, that move makes a lot of sense strategically. You've got to consider this kind of thing. A lot of players are afraid to do this, but it makes sense to kind of lock it, you know, on the white squares. This kills my bishop on c1, and you can play e6 next. So that's an idea to keep in mind. Okay, Ayesta and Mule Skinner and World Loser. I'm gonna play with the subscribers first, and then we'll definitely get at least to the constant change game. I'm guaranteeing him a game. I'm gonna play a weird move now. I forgot. So we'll play a3 and b4. There really isn't a lot else you can do that's weird after playing knight f3. But I play a lot of games with b4. Could you play anything else here, like e4, sack a pawn? It's not really good with a3. But I don't like my idea anymore of playing b4. I'm gonna change plans, not play b4. I mean, after c6, this a5 is kind of good for black. He just came with the quick bishop g4. This is like a game I had, well, a little similar to Tricks Only yesterday, but different because I didn't play a3 there. a3 not a very useful move here for white. What? He just exchanged on f3 unprovoked. Alright, well, it's weird opening stream. I'm going to make it as weird as possible. So we're going to take back with a pawn. It's basically a reverse Trompowsky. Or a3. It's not the worst move for me. See, the thing is, if I play d4, I kind of kill my bishop on c1. So we should think about other possibilities like b3. However, if I play b3, he can play d4. Alright, let's go ahead and do it. I'm more used to playing this kind of structure. This is how I played oftentimes with black against the Trompowsky. Except I wouldn't have played a3. I have a bad bishop on c1. But it has various ways to get in the game slowly. But if I played b4, he could even play d4. Or b3. Yeah, I don't know though. I mean, I don't know. It would be weird. b3, d4, bishop b2, e5. Anyway. It reminds me of a game I had against Konstantin Chernyshov. Chernyshov did like a Trompowsky against me, and then he played this super slow setup with like c3. Win Noak Tronkson also did the same thing. Both of them, I think, drew with white in the Trompowsky against me by doing this really slow kind of thing with c3 and e3. It's not really dangerous. It equates to like d4, knight f6, bishop g5, d5, bishop takes f6, g takes f6, and then like white plays c3, you know, or e3 and c3, which is just, it's okay. It's solid for the other guy. It's a lot like a Slav, obviously. Slav. Play the slob. Well, after the last game in the Stonewall, I feel really inspired to play f4 in all my games. Blindfold mode. Hi, Mr. William. Hey, what's up? Sanalitza. Can you help me? Since yesterday I cannot see anything else beside the board in time, so I can't see who I am playing. Well, that's good, though. You know, I was thinking of covering the names of my opponents yesterday, so it wouldn't affect the way I play. I could just play against everyone. like they were the same, basically. So I don't know, Sanalitza. That's an interesting problem to have. It might even be good for you to not think about who you're playing. I'm half tempted to play like c5 here, to be honest. Let's do it. No fear. My king can go anywhere. It can stay in the center. It can go just to sit on c2. It can castle kingside. This is not the only move. I could exchange on d5, but the symmetry doesn't really do it for me. I'm going to basically plan on keeping him clamped in the center and then trying to gain space with well, I was going to call it a minority attack, but it's not. It's just a like normal pawn break with like b4 and b5. We'll try to punish black for playing a little bit passively here. Another like stonewall attack, basically. That's all this is. If we can put pressure on his king side, though, we can probably stop him from having any counterplay. I mean, obviously I'm going to meet him on the queen side with b4. Maybe I ought to keep my rook protected. Just play like bishop d2. Wow, bishop e7. Now, he thought a long time and played bishop e7 rather than bishop c7. I wonder what his thinking is with that. Bishop c7 seems a tad more like standard. He's thinking about b6, I assume. Let's go ahead and do this. The bishop, it could go to g2 or it can go to d3. It depends on the situation. This is one of my only active plans. So Sanalitza, that's weird. You can't see the pieces taken. You're in blindfold mode, exactly. But I was seriously thinking about covering the name of my opponents from now on, you know. Like, I don't get psyched out by stronger players. I don't underestimate the weaker players. I think it might just be for the best, you know. If you just don't even look at the rating, if I just put a sticky note over my opponent's name and rating, and just playing every game the best I can possibly play. You know, one of my students asked me the other day, he was going to his first, like, real slow tournament, and he said, how should I approach it, you know? And, like, my advice was, like, look, just take everyone seriously. Don't underestimate anyone. Don't get psyched out. And if you don't know who you're playing, that's probably for the best. Wow, h5 here. Man, I could almost play f5. But h5 is kind of weird. I think it reduces his chances on the king side. It just reduces his flexibility on the king side. My only concern was him playing f6, and I think that goes out the window. His ability to play f6 and e5 now, that he's like weakened his king side, he'll never be able to play f6 because the white squares will just like fall apart. h5 is a really weird move. Black should probably sit tight, maybe play g6. Okay, it's going to be hard for him with that open g file in any case. Now I see what he's trying to do, I guess, but I still don't really approve. Yeah, I don't really see it. Okay, h3. Well, at first I thought he was going to play knight. This doesn't work. He just drops a pawn on h5. Unless he wants to sack a pawn for nothing. Now he has to go back to where he was. Okay, he's got like more time than me. I have 1:40. Yeah, it's called, oh, the Zen mode. Okay. I thought it was like, I thought you were literally in the blindfold mode or something. I think I was in Zen mode once, but I didn't really play a game during it, so I didn't know what it would look like. That was when they first started the Zen mode last week or whatever. Okay, let's just develop our pieces. We've got, I think, a space advantage on both sides of the board. We're eventually going to play b5. I mean, he can try to slow it down with a6, but it's going to be hard for him to stop it altogether. If b5, a4, and then we try to take over on the queen side. Basically, we'll be able to get at least one open line. if he was able to lock the queen side with like b5, it's basically an a6 Slav, and sometimes I can sacrifice a piece for two connected passed pawns on b5. Yeah, Zen mode sounds cool. I did see it once. I have not been there in the Zen mode. Since the first day I noticed it. I need more Zen mode, actually. Yesterday I could have used some Zen mode. But I'm serious about covering the name of my opponents. Actually, it's not a bad strategy if you were playing in tournaments also, I think. Not to write down the name and rating of your opponent. Maybe not for everyone, you know. And maybe not like in a very pure sense. You could find ways to take advantage of certain players. But for certain players, I think it might be beneficial. Alright, what is this bishop doing? There could be some drawbacks with bishop d2, like I'm not controlling a3. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, there's possible piece sacrifices on b5, but I don't have to do it right away. And I've got to think about my king position. Where do I want to put my king here? h2, e2, c2. I think if I want to sack a piece on b5, you know, in that case I probably might not want the king on c2 because it would be behind the incoming pawns. Just want to keep all my options open at this point. Could even have a bishop sack on g6. Black is really restricted. Actually, even f3 followed by like king e2. We have pretty much like total control of the board. But he's finally going to get his knight h6. Give me your entire pawn chain. Oh, he defended it. All right, we're gonna sack on b5 here. We have strong tactics with c6 on knight d7, so he's actually got some serious problems. No, he's just lost. But instead of c6, it may be better to play rook a7. Okay, he's gonna get out. He's gonna get away, I should say. Just resigned. I mean, you could play it out. I mean, you can play it out. You're only down a pawn. No. Yeah, 2 pawns. I wouldn't be insulted if you played on. With like queen b8. Okay, objectively it's lost. Let's see. So we're gonna go with Mule Skinner and World Loser, and then the other players. Thanks for subscribing, guys. Thanks, World Loser. The next stream is tomorrow night, 7 p.m. subscriber stream. I sent out I sent out a message right now on the stream, and I was typing so fast that I made a misspelling, grammatical mistake, so please don't judge me. E4, Yeah, I'm supposed to be playing unusual openings. I played everything against Mule Skinner. In case you haven't seen, there's 118 games here between us on the stream. It's pretty amazing. So we're running out of ideas to play against Mr. Mule Skinner. Let's play the Nimzovich defense. I don't think I've played this against him that much as some of the other things. I played the modern a lot, Alekhine. Okay, now he's like... The critical move is d4, but he's playing knight f3. I mean, I don't really want to just transpose to a normal game after e5. Shirazi played f5 in a blitz game I saw once against Nenad Shulava. That was good. I was playing like a blitz risers for money with like Shirazi and Shulava, who are like both like monster blitz players. I was definitely the underdog. Okay, knight f3, f5. Yeah, we're not going to do that. d5 would transpose to a kind of Scandinavian. Let's try it. I think somewhat justified because of the knight move to f3. We will probably transpose to one of these knight f3 Scandinavians. Should be playable for black, though I don't know the line. Unusual the Scotch. I'm not going to play the Scotch. Yeah, so that's why I won't play e5. Although there are some interesting things I could do. You know, like e5, d4, d5, for example. You can always find an unusual opening in everything. But this is a weird Scandinavian. There was this guy Alexander Reprintsev, who is from like the Urals in Russia, and he was living in Washington D.C. playing a lot of tournaments in the U.S. He always would play the Scandinavian with knight c6 and had some tricky lines there. So we're just transposing now to what is like this normal knight f3 Scandinavian. Instead of playing knight c3, they play knight f3. After e4, d5 takes, queen takes d5, knight f3. So this is supposed to be like probably the main line for black, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Knight c3 though, where do I go? Queen a5 or queen h5? Queen h5 seems artificial. Oh, can I take on f3? Right. Alright, never mind. No, they have to play like bishop e2 here. Bishop e2 first. Yeah. Bishop e2 and then castles queenside. Or am I supposed to play e5 straight up? Oh, man, I don't even know. If I play e5, white has c4, right? That doesn't seem right for me. e5, c4 followed by d5. So I think I had this position with white last week. Yeah, ask Gawain Jones about the Scotch and his game with Vladimir Kramnik. I don't know, man. You really got to know the Scotch insanely well. To play it against Kramnik. Kramnik is just brutal. Bishop e2. I guess I'm supposed to play e6 and then move my queen again? Or just castles here? I wish I knew the theory. I'm trying to figure out as we go. I never played this line with black. I don't normally play like queen takes d5 Scandinavian. And I did like on occasion years ago. But I probably wouldn't put my knight on c6 if I did. I had a game with white last week, I think. But I just don't remember what I'm supposed to do with black. Alright, let's just castle. I mean, screw it. I don't know. This can't be bad. Entirely bad, anyway. It may be bad, but it's not entirely bad. If he tries to play d5 too quickly, it seems like it should give me some hope somehow. So, I don't know. Maybe this is just dubious. Do I play c4, queen h5? Feels logical. You know, that pins the h-pawn. He probably knows about as much as I do about this position. Little Penguin, what's up? Thank you guys who are all subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing. World Loser, Penguin, Mule Skinner, Ayeste, Trouts, and I know I'm forgetting somebody. Aldisto was here. Right, so this looks like the critical move. I mean, queen a5 check just looks sort of dumb. So we have to play queen back or over to the left. Queen h5 was my first guess, but it might be possible to put the queen on f5. We could make an argument that queen f5 is like somehow more centralized. Yeah, I don't know. Alright, I do not know any theory here. I just hope this move doesn't lose by force. White is obviously a little bit lagging in development. I mean, there's some similarities for me to the c3 Sicilian. There are old lines of the c3 Sicilian where black used to do this, just like the very quick knight c6, bishop g4, castles queenside. Then his pawn would be on c3 instead of c4. But sometimes there, white plays c3, c4 in 2 moves. Little Penguin, what's up? Tomorrow night we're going to do the subscriber stream, so I hope you got some game for us to analyze. Bishop e3. Solid developing move, defending the d4 pawn. Let's see, e5. e5, d5, that could get kind of sharp. e6 looks much safer. Actually, knight f6 looks safest of all. But now is white threatening? You see, the problem is white might be threatening h3, which is making me a little bit nervous. Oh well. I think you just have to be willing to allow this kind of stupid stuff like bishop takes f3, bishop takes c6, and just accept the fact that your king is in a horrible situation. I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to play e6 there instead of knight f6, but I need to get my pieces out. I didn't play queen h5 because I didn't want to have to, you know, face bishop takes f3 attacking my queen. I'm going to be curious to see after the game, like, if any of this has actually been played before. The advantage of queen h5 is that I wouldn't have to react immediately on h3. White would have to first defend his rook on h1 or something like that. Now we have some interesting ideas, like maybe sacrificing the bishop on g4 to open the h-file. No, if h3, I mean, I could just sack the bishop on h3, but I don't think that's enough. I've looked at these kind of things before. There's always problems. Knight on g5, he can do like h3, bishop takes, knight g5. Knight g5 would kind of interfere with my position. So I don't think I can sack on h3. I was looking at h5 maybe. Now this is kind of a weird move by white. Knight a3. Why go to a3? Why would he prefer a3 rather than c3? Because he wants to play like knight c2 to secure his center. I'm actually looking at bishop c5 here. I would never take the knight on a3, obviously. I had a game against somebody in a similar position who played bishop d6. This is the game I played last week I was talking about. But bishop c5 simply knight c2, knight. I don't know about this. Pigeons on the roof. I don't know what to do. I'm running out of time. Bishop c5, knight c2. He's just defending everything. Ugh. Alright. Just make sure my bishop's never hanging. Maybe we've got a pawn storm later on. Not committing to bishop c5. Don't bother playing h3. I'll just leave it there. No, I don't know. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do next. See, that's the problem. We're kind of in a standstill, at a standstill here. I don't know what to do. Bishop c5, he can just play like knight c2 and defend. And then what do I do? Like take on d4, some kind of tactics. Okay, well, I mean, this move at least is non-invasive. This ending should be okay for black. White still stands a little bit better because of the center. I'm just addicted to trading pieces with less time. I don't like my knight on c6. It's kind of badly placed. So take. He can't trap my bishop with c5 because of c6. I can play c6 and retreat like that. a5. I need to be able to play c5 to influence the center. And that's why I didn't like my knight on c6. But Mule Skinner's position is really, really tight. You know, he's got no weaknesses. He hasn't touched his pawns. Now I'm not going to be sacking a piece anymore. And if I don't take, we may have some problems with knight e5. So I think this is knight e5, rook f8 looks kind of ugly. So he's a little bit better here. Kind of typical. It's a typical ending. c5, sacking a pawn. It's a little bit over the top. Oh, man, I need to get my bishop back to safety. Looking for weird ideas. Not much time. He's eventually going to move a rook. I'm looking at all these fantastic variations like bishop d6, knight g4, and thinking of ways to force a draw in the slightly worse ending. It's pathetic. I just keep forgetting that his bishop can't move. First he has to play like rook d1, and then he can move his bishop. I'm not sure objectively where to put my bishop. Here? Or d6. On d6 it just blocks my control of d5. So white is slightly better. Bishop d6 I would have been threatening knight g4. I don't know why I didn't do that, actually. Now my king is unsafe. Unsafe king. It's not that bad. Nice game by Mule Skinner. It's a very unpleasant situation. Wow. Oh no. Harmonious white position. But I'm ready to meet b5 with c5 for whatever that's worth. He's got bishop f4, king back to c8, I guess. Hopefully I'll just get some defense on the dark squares and manage to hold this. But I don't like this opening. I didn't like this opening. I think you need to know what you're doing a little better than me. I have knight e5. Not really sure about this. Need to do something though, quick. I didn't like taking on d5, allowing bishop takes d5 with a very strong bishop there, driving him away from the long diagonal this way, threatening to take on d5, win a pawn. Right, this is what I figured. It's pretty much forced. Now I'm threatening to win a piece and a pawn. Almost looks like he has to go into the opposite color bishop ending, but it's probably okay, for, you know, at least equal for him. Yeah, seems objectively equal. Is my move too passive? No, it's equal. I think white might have a tiny advantage because you're going to get to the e-file. That's why I offered a draw here. Theoretically, it's probably a draw, but he's got a tiny, tiny advantage. Yeah, the computer thinks it's more than tiny. It's like 0.4. Rook e2. So I kind of feel like I got the better of that deal. Requesting computer analysis. I want to see what happened in the opening. Guys, what's up? You think c5 was very strong for white before playing b5? I'm curious about the opening, mostly. Bacro. I didn't know Bacro was a specialist in this. Well, that's weird. That is weird. So Bacro played 3 games against good players and beat them all. That's amazing with black. Man, that is insane. He beat Leko, Freycinet, and Guseynov. Holy crap. How could you pull that off with black in this opening? Oh my god. So d4, bishop g4, bishop e2. Queenside castle is his main line. Wow, c4 is main line. Queen f5 is main line. I found the right move on my own. My intuition is like brilliant. My modesty. So here he's supposed to play bishop e3. Is that what he did? Oh, he knows it. My god. We played all book. And now everyone plays the ultra lame bishop takes f3. So apparently I'm supposed to play bishop takes f3, which is really pathetic looking. This is some kind of forced draw. What is this? Bishop takes f3. Bishop takes f3. Knight takes d4. Man. I don't like the score. I mean, all these guys losing. Karadzica, Ovechkin, Milinovic. I know Milinovic. Knight takes d4. Oh yeah, I saw this once years ago. What is the deal with this? Wow, bishop g4. Why not just take on d4? Queen e6 check to prepare f5. So I wish I knew this. And now, oh man. It's all like home preparation. Queen A4. There's only one game. Damn, dude. Queen takes D4, castles. And now we transpose somehow. Tivyakov and Korejitsa. Man, that is some crazy stuff. So, I did not know that I have to do that. Played bishop takes F3, and I played instead knight F6. Well, that's the second most common move here. So apparently this is bad. Castles. And now there's Sulava. E5, E6. Whoever this guy is, Lubach, has a number of games. Knight A3 is a novelty from Muleskinner. I thought it looked kind of funny, but it's not a terrible move. Knight BD2. Well, I don't understand what's wrong with Knight C3, honestly. Here I'm supposed to play Queen G6, which is obscure. I missed something. Oh no. So on Queen C2, I missed bishop takes A3. And I win a pawn in the end. I definitely didn't see this. Blake's in big trouble. So Queen C2, okay. Knight A3 is questionable and Queen C2 is a blunder. But after that he was better. Now this ending is slightly better for white. Let's see, there was a suggestion of... Here I thought maybe bishop D6 actually threatens knight G4. Is that even a threat? No, that's stupid. Okay, bishop E7. Yeah, now the suggestion was C5 with a very strong attack for white. Yeah, this is true. This is true. That's what the engine says. Your engine is correct. Rook B1 even isn't necessary, I guess, but what am I supposed to do here? Bring my king back to the center. It's a very unpleasant endgame. I was happy to draw at that point. Okay, so world loser, and we lost constant change after waiting all that time. Intuition. No, I mean C5 makes a lot of sense. He doesn't want me to blockade the position with C5 like happened in the game. Yeah. No, it's just a joke. Alright, so world loser is white. I've got to play an unusual opening. You guys are welcome to play crazy openings too. That's 2 draws. You guys are too good. Okay, I'm playing stuff I don't really know, so... That variation, I mean, it goes against my intuition to play bishop takes F3. Korejitsa and Tivyakov have analyzed the Scandinavian, I think, very, very deeply, particularly Tivyakov. He's like one of the world's leading experts on the Scandinavian. Bishop takes F3, like releasing the tension and trading a bishop for knight. It's a move that's only possible, really, with like computer analysis. I mean, it's not a human move. It's just based on concrete, you know, weakness of D4. I would need to have that prepared in advance. World loser played B4. Okay, against the B4, once I tried this is kind of a weird system against B4. I used it in the New York Open under 2400 section once. And I'm trying to remember if my opponent played... Yeah, my opponent I think played E3 there, which is better. World loser is maybe not an expert in the... He's not an expert in the, what's it called? Polish opening. He is Polish, but he's not an expert in the Polish opening. Okay, A5 now. This is the idea. If you play e3 instead of bishop e2, you can do this like temporary pawn sack with b5, which this old Russian man played against me. And it was a very, very tough game after that. Now World Loser's position is, it's not the end of the world, but it's a little bit compromised. You know, he obviously doesn't want to play c3 in front of his bishop on b2. It's not like he's losing, but that's not really the goal here. Okay. Anyway, I think I don't want to see like later on knight d2, knight c4. But what am I doing exactly? Taking on b4. It's a 5-3 game, so I got to play a little bit faster. Knight d2, I would assume, would be his plan. What can I do against that? I don't know, but he's going to play fast. I might have to play a4. It's basically a blitz game. World Loser plays very fast. Yeah, now I'm going to do bishop g4. We'll follow Ayesta's plan. You know, the only weird thing about my position is my queen on b6. But it's not the end of the world. Now I can play e5 and just get some center. Or I could play a more reserved setup. I'm a little bit worried about like h3, bishop h5, knight takes e5 kind of traps. Yeah, I mean, if I play bishop h5, knight takes e5, that's actually probably good for me. Okay, he doesn't have that right away, but I have to keep an eye out for it. Castles, still he doesn't have it. You've got to watch that tactic. Okay, now he definitely doesn't have it. Putting my pieces on natural squares. And so we transpose to some kind of normal old Indian type of thing going on here. It looks like. I don't really know what to do next. What do I do next? This was a debatable choice. Maybe a bad move. I should probably put my queen on c7. Anyway, we wasted a tempo. Probably not that meaningful here in this closed position. He maneuvers the same maneuver I was thinking about. Now I can put pressure on his e4 pawn. Maybe it doesn't do anything. Objectively, what's going on? Trading pieces, professional. Knight f5 doesn't bother me, I guess. When I'm lower on time, I do intuitively go for piece exchanges. I don't think that anybody has a space advantage. If anything, I have a space advantage with the two pawns in the center. If I had more time, I would try to find a better move, but I'm already panicking here. Because I'm terrible at bullet chess, I try to avoid getting down to like under 30 seconds. But that's making me play like second-rate moves in many cases. I don't really know what to do. Knight f5... I don't know, maybe I would just play bishop f8 there, honestly. Looks like my d5 pawn's a little bit weak. There's possible knight takes e5, queen takes e5, d4, which I missed. Then I have queen takes. I think he's in trouble after this move. Well, not trouble. Yeah, I take it back. I take here. I've got to watch my f7. But I'm looking for like clear plans here. Maybe I play e4 and go for it. We go for the gusto, basically. Go for the advantage. There's f5. Damn. Not sure if f5 is right or not. Well, what's my plan if not? All right. It's complicated, and yeah, this may be a mistake. Maybe I should play f5. I don't know. Something. Anyway, I played a very aggressive plan. Pushing the pawn forward was risky, but I'm playing for a win. It's basically like, it looks like an open Roy Lopez or something with colors reversed. White has this funky queenside majority. Yes, best move. Probably best move. I don't know. Maybe not. His queenside majority, I'd like to kind of hold it up somehow. He's got 95. See, that's the problem. I don't know, I just don't want to open the A file right now when he's better suited to, he's better prepared to take advantage of the open file than me. Okay, now 95, bishop d6, c4. I'm not even sure if that's a good move or not. Yeah, I thought c4 was interesting there. He reacted a little too routinely. He had the in-between move c4. Now it's the position is a bit sharper. Of course, c4 now. Okay, it's a complicated game. Two bishops, but my knight is pretty good too. He had queen g5 there, for whatever that was worth. I don't know. Competing pawn majorities. Seems like his is kind of stuck, though. We might be able to do some damage to his king. Wow, okay, b5, fine. Oh, I'm just losing the pawn. Oh man, I just blundered it. That's alright. We're attacking on the king's side. Alright, hopefully his queenside play is... Man, I have pawn takes pawn check. He's like losing a rook here. I think that actually makes it worse. It's mate. World loser just played too fast. Maybe he can sack a rook there. I mean, he's got those pawns. He has to play king g1, but it's lost anyway. No, he played too fast. Curious opening. Yeah, I mean, I think, like, technically you're supposed to play e3. So the vast majority of players play bishop e2 here. You can always play a3, but e3... This is my game in the New York Open. e3, queen b6, b5. Or no, a3, a5, b5. This is the trick. 91% for white. Like Vladimir Poli. He like won the Budapest Spring Festival once. I can't believe white's score here. It's so unbelievable. Miles Ardeman lost to Emil Anka. So I actually managed to win this somehow, I think. It's not really good for black though after knight c3. So that's the trick, world loser. You're supposed to play e3 first. Marius Have. What's up, man? Long time no see. So you're supposed to play e3 first, slightly better. Okay, interesting. We lost constant change. I think we're out of subscribers here. So poor constant change was like waiting through like 4 players, but he had to go. Or lost his internet. Lousy Dirty Cheater's been waiting too, patiently. Okay. Weird Polish opening. World loser, now you know. I can't remember the name of the old guy that I played in the New York Open under 2400. It was like round 1. It was some old Russian FIDE master or something. It will probably come to me. Okay, what are we gonna play now? Something later, you know, something a little later, unusual. We'll open with e4. I've been playing like knight c3. I played mostly with black today. That name though, S. What's that? Little pingwing. Lousy Dirty Cheater playing the Alekhines defense. Now what can we do against the Alekhines defense that's like unusual? Kind of hard to find something. What would Emery Tate do? E5, knight d5, queen f3 or something like that? We could play queen f3 here. I think I've seen this move. I'm not sure what the idea is after knight b4, queen b3, I guess. Just for something different. Oh, the name, the Lousy Dirty Cheater, yeah. I thought, yeah. There's another weird line you can play against the Polish. B4, D5, bishop B2, queen D6. Another weird early queen move. I don't know where I got the C6, queen B6 line. Somewhere someone showed it to me or I saw it. I was looking to win that game against that old guy. He was kind of cagey. Now E6. Well, I mean, okay, you are blocking in your bishop a little bit on C8. But the knight remains a strong piece here for black, I think. So what are we gonna do? We have to develop our pieces. Another move that might be interesting, kind of unusual against the Alekhine would be like G3. I thought about that, but it's not totally weird enough. I mean, with queen f3, I'm not trying to play for, like, fool's mate. I mean, I just want to get my queen out to an aggressive square. Now if knight c3, knight b4 seems legitimately irritating. Maybe we could play, like, king d1 there. That's really insane. To just play with my king in the center of the board. What else can we do here? My e5 pawn, it's hard for me to protect the e5 square. I'm gonna need to think about that. Where to put my white squared bishop too. Slight issue. c3, keeping his knight off of b4. Looks slow. Knight h3, knight g5 doesn't work. We play weird openings, then we start thinking about it. Knight c3, knight b4 again is a problem. I mean, I could play bishop d3 if I had to, but I don't like giving up my white squared bishop for nothing. Don't really think that was the plan. Bishop c4, it's artificial. Yeah, e6 is a good move, man. C4 also doesn't look right for white. What did this have to do with anything? b3, maybe you could play b3, bishop b2. It's not so bad for white. Alright, let's do it. We need to do something. b3 against Alekhine's defense. This way I can always play knight a3 if I have to. Although that I don't even really like that much. This takes away my queen b3. So now if knight b4, knight a3, a5, bishop b2, a4, black can get some kind of little initiative going there on the queen side. c3 is a class move. It would be better to play it on move 3 or move 2, move 3. I think Marius, if we're going to do it, we might as well just go ahead and bust it out on move 2 rather than putting the queen on f3. But I thought about b3 and the need to, like, just protect the e5 square. When I looked at the position with my queen on f3, there's, like, no natural way to protect e5 except for queen g3, which is already, like, needed to go over there and stuff. So I'd like to play queen g3, but my need to defend, like, against knight b4. I guess the thing is I could always play knight a3. So what should I have played instead of b3? I don't know. It's a little like a b3 Sicilian now. How to unravel the king side. Now he's threatening some sorts of f6. The knight on d5 is really, really strong. And it's getting on my nerves. We could play c4 and just call his bluff here. c4 and then I'll have to play knight a3. f6. f6 is a dangerous idea for me. I mean, he could do some damage with that. Bishop c4 may not be that bad. I probably have to follow up with well, actually, he's doing f6, pawn takes f6, bishop takes f6, etc., etc. I don't know, man. I don't really like this. This looks stupid for me. I like the way he's playing this. Very tight, no weaknesses. I could play bishop b5, I guess. The idea of just exchanging that off. But now f6 is increasing in strength. What was my idea here? With f6 increasing in strength, c4. Bishop d3. Bishop d3, knight b4, bishop e4. Doesn't look very good. f6 is very, very powerful. It's like backed up by everything. Queen g3. Queen g3 could get weird after bishop h4. Maybe queen h3. No. I need to develop my pieces. I don't like this for white. Black is so compact. I mean, c4 is essentially just weakening. Well, he could win a pawn. Bishop takes a3, bishop takes a3, no. Not a problem. Oh, there is that other move, though. He can win a pawn. He can win a pawn the other way. I guess he's winning a pawn this way as well. No. But you had the reverse. Like, you should just do knight takes e5. I have no idea where the best square for my queen was. Now there's queen f6, bishop takes f8, knight d3 check, bishop takes d3, check, bishop takes d3. What is going on? Whoa, he just took back. I mean, I really thought knight d3 check was like a legitimate move there. Now what, like c3? Marius said c3 was good. Seems like a good time for c3. He had just knight takes e5, winning a pawn the other way. Knight a3 was a terrible move. Probably the worst move I played. Maybe it wasn't that bad until then. Then I was just totally lost. One of my more experimental openings. Now knight f4, knight h3. Knight takes e2, king takes e2. And he doesn't have that much compensation. He has a little bit. But I'm not going to play bishop f1 in this position. That's just ridiculous. He's watching my broadcast. The line you mentioned with knight takes e5 first wasn't bishop takes e5, knight bishop takes e3. Queen g3, a double attack on g7 and c7. No, but his knight is on d5. But his knight is on d5, so we can look at it after the game. I mean, he should have everything protected somehow. But he might have had knight d3 check even here with an unclear game. Now he missed his chance to play knight f4. Now I'm just up the exchange for a pawn. This should be easy. Well, relatively easy. F4. I mean, I know it's a little weakening, but I don't know. Should I just castle, allow G5, F4, pawn takes? Yeah, okay. Castle's safer than playing F4 immediately. But I mean, this is a natural setup for me anyway. Turning it into the Dutch again. Learned it from my other moderator. Every single game I'm playing like F4. F4 at some point. Got the ready-made Dutch attack. That was the whole plan with B3, bishop B2. It's all thematic. We've got good development. The knight maybe can sack itself on G5. Almost. This queen actually has very few squares. I feel like I'm getting a little bit fancy now. Just probing. It's the Grand Prix attack / Dutch. Finally materialized. But I'm not certain it's necessarily 100% game over here. Yeah, I don't know. His queen doesn't have a lot of squares. Well, he's got a chance here. Okay, if king e7, rook a e1. Maybe. King e7, rook a e1. Then g6. King e7, rook a e1, g6 is kind of irritating. It's got to be winning for me somehow. g6 right away is not a good move. There aren't really a lot of candidate moves here for black. Yeah, king e7 is pretty much recommended. Walking into the fire. Does Mubah count as a viewer? That's a good question, and I'll never reveal the answer. I don't think so, because yeah, it's usually I'm starting with a 0 viewer count, even when Mubad is here. So I think we can safely assume Mubad does not count as a viewer. Don't I have knight takes f7? On king e7, knight takes f7. Well, there's this little detail of g6. I guess, yeah. I guess I could just take stuff. I was afraid something would get trapped in there, but obviously we need to think about it. Well, he found a better defense, or not. I guess not. It doesn't really matter. I'm just taking on d7. Is my rook trapped? Oh man. Seriously? Is my rook really trapped? But it's not really trapped. It's just partially digested. That's for you, Trouts. Are you still with us? I had a joke with Trouts last week. You know when like a plant, you know, like a carnivorous plant eats something, it's like digested inside the plant. This rook is, it's inside the plant, it's trapped inside, but yeah, I don't think he's getting out. Anyway, like, oh god, queen f3, Emery Tate, So there's no Tate games that I can see, though. He wasn't that high rated. He would be in the list if he played it, probably. Tom Wedberg is the only real player. Alexander Wohl, okay. Holy Woly. Holy Woly plays some weird stuff. Wedberg back in 1981. I played Wedberg in a dragon or something. That was a draw long time ago. So Queen F3 has been played. Some people have played Knight B4. It's interesting, but he plays the main move here. So it looks like Queen G3 objectively isn't a great move, but that's the move that most people have chosen to play. We've got nobody over 2400, just Wedberg, the Swedish Grandmaster. I think he's a GM. Do we have any Swedes to confirm that? Yeah, Wedberg is definitely a GM. I think the guy's got to be retired from playing. I never see his name. So Knight C3, Knight B4, Queen D1. I'm not surprised that's actually the best continuation. You could, if you really, I thought about this, to be perfectly honest. I thought about playing King D1. But, you know, objectively we have to admit we made a mistake here. And there's actually a real game. Are these guys like Croatian? Queen D1. Yeah, that makes sense. Just go back. Admit your mistake. So I played B3. It's not so bad. I like the way that Black played this. Again, I'm supposed to play like C4 and play Queen D1. But I didn't want to admit my mistake. So I played this awful lemon. This is just a blunder. So I have to play C4 or Queen D1. That's pathetic to play Queen D1. I mean, once you've played Queen F3, I just wasn't going to play that. Here he has immediately, let's see, castles. Yeah, this was just total blunder. Knight takes E5. Alright. No, everything's protected. I just dropped a pawn for nothing. And my bishop doesn't even have a good retreat square. I have to play Rook B1 here so that my bishop has a place to go. That's how bad it is. Whew, we're just down a pawn for absolutely zero. Okay, not going to experiment with that again. Mubat doesn't count. He only has the chat. We love Mubat, but he failed to pick off like the F word yesterday. I don't know what he's doing. It doesn't seem like he's properly censoring the chat. Okay, let's see. Chess Armageddon, S4 Havgar. Guys, we have time for these games probably at the most. So don't anybody else challenge me. Having said that, like somebody immediately challenged me. Constant Change is back. Constant Change. You came back again. What are we gonna do with you? Oh, all right. I played C4. Oh God. Let me offer a take back. I'm just gonna abort the game. Chess Armageddon, challenge me again. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get black. Chess Armageddon, are you okay with playing white? Yeah, all right. He's okay with playing white. He played B3. I mean, dude, I'm fully all for the A5. I played a lot of games with the Spanish IM on Internet Chess Club years ago. He would always play B3, and when I got bored of my usual lines, I was just throwing A5 at him. I think it's fully justified to play A5, but A4 may be a good response. I don't know. Now we're just playing chess. It's like chess 960 with the pieces on the correct squares. The random A4, A5 has been played. I wonder if I could play, you know, I was thinking about G6 here in this position, but I'm not sure if I like this structure with the double pawns with the way the queen side is set up. Normally you can do that. Anyway, I've returned from my chess tournament, says Chess Armageddon. Chess Armageddon. Maybe on knight g5 he could have played h takes g5, f takes g5, queen e7, rook takes f7, and king takes f7. Yeah, I mean, okay, that's probably one of the better choices, but he should be losing there in the last game. But I just couldn't find a normal setup. I didn't want to bring my queen back to d1. If that's the best that white has, then that whole system is just silliness. I mean, who plays queen f3? Emery Tate when he's like on tilt. Wedberg seems like a rational player. Kind of a strange choice from him. So Chess Armageddon played 4 tournaments. Where am I going to put my b8 knight? Normal Queen's Indian problem. I think we'll have to put it on d7. You know, there's an argument here for like g6 now. Why didn't I just do that? Just counter his bishop on g2. I think that would be legit for black to do the delayed fianchetto. More active than this. Okay, g6 is a little more weakening. So guys, we've got half an hour left. Don't anybody else challenge me. I don't think I'm going to get to all these games. Chess Armageddon's results. First by tiebreak. 11th by tiebreak. Second by tiebreak. And tournament 4 was blitz. And he got first place. Congratulations. The 11th sounds like a strong tournament. Yeah, I mean, the problem is, where does my knight go? If I go knight a6, then white plays maybe some d4. Then again, d4 looks kind of ugly for white. Now, this leaves him with a weird structure with a hole on e4. So maybe that justifies putting my knight on a weird square. The other way I could play would be, you know, just doing like d6, knight bd7. Slightly passive. He's copycatting me. Okay, it's a blitz game, 5 plus 5. So now I decided to play knight e8. In this Dutch scenario, you know, I feel like this bishop on b2 is really strong. Earlier I talked about playing g6, bishop g7 to counter it. Although this move may look a little bit passive, it is, in fact, a bit passive. Position is almost symmetrical. That's true. I can play f5 to counter it. I'll be like a tempo down now. But in such a close position, I don't think it's that big a deal. I don't have any weaknesses, really. I mean, b5 a little bit, but so does he. It's a weird game. I mean, the knights are probably heading for c5. Maybe I should have played that first. Well, I mean, what's he going to do? Like d4? Then I'll play f5 and lock in on the e4 weakness. Not so easy for him to decide what to do. Sometimes having the extra move in a symmetrical position is actually very, very frustrating. And I find it to be difficult. Queen e1. Now bishop f6 or f5 first. I'm just going to play bishop f6. I could spare the f5. I mean, f5 weakens my position a bit. I was thinking about recapturing with the queen. Queen has some play on the diagonal. It can pop back to e7. I guess if you want to think outside the box here, you could consider taking with the pawn. Now he goes, that's a very combative thing to do. Now he goes d4, giving us a chance to play like knight c5. Alright. Want to get my knight in the game. It's a very convoluted position with lots of pieces on the board. Maybe we'll play like g6 and bring it back to g7 now that I've put it on f6. I probably shouldn't bring it back to e7. Does he think about taking on c5? It's possible, though he'd have to put his rook on a2, which looks really awkward. I don't think he should do that. b3, g6. I like g6, dude. SDG said that, of course. It's totally playable in all scenarios. I mean, you can absolutely play that way in any kind of double fianchetto sort of situation. I used to play the English defense a lot, you know, like c4, b6, knight f3, bishop b7, g3, bishop takes f3, g takes f3. It's not better for the side playing against the double pawns. The double pawns are absolutely perfectly okay there. So as I said, you know, we're coming back to g7. We need this bishop for defensive purposes. And my other knight could find the f5 square, maybe. I don't know. But then again, I might need to play d6 at some point. I love this position. There's like 8 pawns on the board for both sides, all the pieces. He's playing the stonewall attack. But what should I do here, objectively? I've got more challenges, guys, but there's no way I'm going to even play the games that I've got. I've got to finish at 12:30. In and around 12:30. I mean, I can be like 5 minutes over, but not more. Maybe I should go knight d6, actually. Because he's threatening pawn takes knight, bishop takes bishop, pawn takes knight, bishop takes rook. I don't really like that, but I just take on c5. I play knight f5 now. Headed for f5 anyways. I guess it's just wins. Maybe it doesn't win. Or not. Now I have to go knight e4. I spoke too soon. We're not winning. Yeah, we spoke way too soon there. Taking on e3 wasn't so great. Now I need to get control of the white diagonal. He's just challenging me. Well, what can I do? Knight h4 is very tempting, attacking thin air. Could play h6. This doesn't quite work. Well, I mean, it's playable. But there may be some problems with it. I wanted to play like queen h4. Just doesn't quite, that doesn't quite work. But it's interesting. It's interesting enough to play it. He can't play h4. He has so many weaknesses around his king. His knight is still on a3. You know, that's not ideal. Take f6. I just assumed he was going to take with the h-pawn. Problem is, if I take with the queen, he has d5, queen h4. Should be good for me. If you compare my bishop to his knight on a3, black has a massive advantage. It's almost like I lost the tempo. Queen g4 check, king f1, rook h8, bishop takes, rook takes, rook h2, queen f3 check, king e1, queen g3 check, queen f2, queen takes h2. That ending may not be that easy for me. Now if queen d4 check, rook f6, he's managed to find a way to like defend this. So he has this rook h8 thing. Oh, he just forgot. I forgot. Oh my gosh. I thought it was an open diagonal. Oh my god. All the time I've been hallucinating this was an open diagonal since he played d5. Oh, that's insane. Okay, I have to just totally reset myself. I could easily lose. Man, I just hallucinated like the whole time. He blundered knight takes e6. It's like a funny mistake, but I wouldn't resign there. e4 right away. Rook h4. It's not so easy for me to make progress. This is probably nothing for black. I probably should have played that in the first place. At least I'm a pawn up here. Yeah, he's playing perfectly. I'm just going to lose that pawn on the king side. Threatening rook h3. Well, he even found a way to defend that. Okay, dude, that's pretty insane. He's finding these defenses with like seconds left. That improves my position a tiny bit. Endgames is my specialty, he says. Well, I mean, there's no way to beat this guy. I mean, anyway. Let's just go on to the next game. I have time for Zen Chess just arrived. He's a subscriber. The rest of you guys, if I don't get to play you, sorry about that. You can subscribe. Half price for subscriptions on Twitch now until the 18th of October. Pretty amazing defense with like seconds on your clock. I'm supposed to play something unusual. Let's play like b4. This is the theme of the day. Some kind of weird flank stuff. b4. I also played against b4. Speaking of double pawns, another theme for today. Bishop takes f3, g takes f3. You could take with the e pawn maybe here too. That was a very good position for me, but I didn't have enough time. People can make like, I don't like this about lichess, you know, the ability to make like 9 moves without your clock moving. I think that should be, I don't know, if there was like a World Chess Federation for online chess, I really think that the pre-moves should be somehow like controlled. Because yesterday I had a game where, what's his name? This guy playing in my tournament, Last Dance, he played 9 moves without his clock running while I had like 3 seconds left. I mean, I'm sorry, but I think that's, you know, kind of weird. In real chess, when you play with an actual digital clock, like your clock is always gonna move by at least like some fractions of a second. I mean, I understand that because of lichess now, this ultra bullet is popular, but I mean, it's getting to the point where it's kind of weird. Like 9 moves without your clock running, like, okay, but it's not like a normal timed game anymore, you know, at that point. Just who has the like best internet connection, but I still don't understand how you could pre-move 9 moves without your clock running. I guess it's easy to do. I should just like put my rook hanging next to his king or something like that. He'll have to like use 0.1 seconds every time I drop a piece next to his king. Yeah, I mean, there has to be a limit to the amount of there should be a limit to the amount of pre-moves you can make without your clock running at all. You know, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you know, over the board blitz is something totally different. You know, even with the digital clock. Moves should have to have some price in terms of time. You can't just play the whole game without your clock running. I mean, it's like holding the button down on the clock in real chess. I think if internet chess was ever like a real thing, where there were like legitimate tournaments and stuff, there would have to be some kind of rules put in place to limit that. But the thing was, he was like pre-moving all over the place. You know, it wasn't like his king was like, you know, moving back and forth. He was pre-moving over on the right, and over on the left, and over on the right, and over on the left. Like, almost like he was like making normal moves, but his clock wasn't running, you know? I can understand you can just pre-move like the square next to your king, okay, again and again, but how do you pre-move like all over the board without, you know, having to take like a fraction of a second to click the moves? All right. Bishop takes f3. How do I recapture here? Does it change now after d3? Guys, this will probably be the last game for today. If it's as long as I think it's going to be. Zen chess is pretty tough. Weird unnamed opening here. ICC and chess.com add 0.1 seconds to each move. I mean, that seems fair. It seems fair. You know, there has to be a price. You can't just make unlimited moves using no time. You know, whatever it is, or every 2 moves, like 0.1 seconds or something, but, you know, it's just sort of ridiculous. I mean, it almost seems like you're playing on the opponent's time, you know, which should be illegal. Knight bd2. So no doubled pawns. Another weird flank opening. I will try to do a double fianchetto. Ideally, you could play e3 and bishop e2, but it's a little bit more passive. We could argue black has a weakness at c6 here. That may not be significant later on. I don't know. Kind of like my last game when I was black. I'm a little concerned when I play a5, like in any kind of Queen's Indian, that the c6 square gets weak. g6, g4. You have like a queen on h1, rook on g2, they have a king on a3, and you're going queen h3, rook g4, and pre-moving it. You can't play rook, queen h8. Another argument might be, you know, you could do it like, yeah, mate. You could do it like over the board blitz rules. You know, like if you play mate, it doesn't matter if your flag is down. That's an interesting possibility. So mate stands even if your flag is down. f5. Now if g3, e4 bothers me a little bit after this move. g3, e4. This is like a drug move. Rook g1 and g4. Again, shades of Emery. e3 is okay for sure. I guess I could play e3 and then g3. Thing is, he's catching up in development a little bit here. Alright. e3 and g3? Or just bishop e2 and castles, which is more routine, like a hedgehog. How many points do you need to be a grandmaster? Well, it's not simply points. Technically, grandmasters are supposed to reach 2,500 FIDE rating. But it's not always the case. Like, if you get to like 2497 and you have 3 fantastic GM norms, like where you over exceeded the requirement, they'll probably give you an exception. If you have like 4 GM norms when the requirement is 3 and your rating is like 2496, they probably make an exception. People who won like, you know, special tournaments like the World Junior and the World Senior Championship automatically get the GM title. So, although technically you're supposed to be 2,500, FIDE, you know, can make exceptions, and the World Championship for juniors and seniors is like a notable exception. I mean, you know, I don't know. There might be other weird titles that automatically get GM title, but I don't think so. Traditionally, it was just the World Junior and the World Senior. I got to like 2470 unofficially, and that's, you know, pretty close. If I had really cared about my rating, I would have protected it, but I just, you know, I didn't have any GM norms anyway, so I never really, you know, cared that much to protect my rating when I got kind of high. But the requirement is technically 2500, which isn't, you know, it isn't that high considering how many super grandmasters are running around. I think there's rating inflation, so I decided to just do it this way. Zen chess, you're reminding me of like when you're white playing against the Caro Kann, doing like a King's Indian type of thing. Dude, castle's queenside, whoa. I've never seen anyone try that in this kind of position. You know, it's safe for now, but I think that long term it might not be that safe. Okay, I've got piece sacrifices on a5. I'm thinking of schemes, you know, for sacrificing a piece on a5 to break through. You know, obviously I could try like d4 and c5 later on. When he castles queenside, I'm instantly starting to think in ways, you know, how do I concretely attack his king? But like bishop c3, knight b3, and then sacking a piece on a5 would likely be dangerous. But first things first, I was going to play like bishop f1 and secure my king side, in case, you know, he starts whipping up some kind of kingside attack here. He doesn't have g5 unless he wants to play a pawn sack, which might not be bad. He could actually play this. Now he takes g5, rook g8 with a strong attack, maybe just winning. So Zen chess g5, it's not a free roll though. I mean, g5, bishop f1, g4, knight h4. This square is very weak on f5, so he has to be careful not to play a little too quickly there. Yeah, rook g8 is reasonable. Anyways, we can answer in the center, kind of like my last opponent. Shutting down a bishop with d4, d5 would be an option. That would really close up the position too much, though. I think giving him a good square for his knight at c5. So I think the normal plan is like g3, and then like counter fianchetto or just hang out and then try to maybe attack him. The problem I was looking at was this knight coming here. I want to put my queen on a4 and maybe sack a piece on a5, but then he's always got knight c5. So my only chance is to win on time. Marius, yeah, sorry we didn't get to play today. Thanks for coming and joining us. This will probably be the last game. I like the way that Zen chess played this. It's pretty insane to castle queenside in a closed Sicilian King's Indian attack type of setup, dude. But maybe, you know, the way the queenside is fixed. Now e4 looks a bit weird, because he's got no way to protect f5. So he may have blundered here. I mean, this could be a calculated decision. I'm not really sure. Intuitively, it looks wrong for black. I've got plenty of guardians of f3, guardians of the galaxy. This is just hanging. And if he plays f4, then he loses control of e4. Speak of the devil. Okay, well, I mean, we've got all kinds of things. You know, knight c6, like blocking him off over there. First of all, we're taking here. Our dragon bishop defends our king pretty well. So it's really a question how you want to take on e4. Play knight c5. You could play knight c6 even. Interesting combative move. Bishop h3 check. Knight c6. Alright. No more white square bishop for you. Now his king could get mated by like d4 and then Storming the barricades, Larry would say. I'm just taking back here. Knight takes e4. I'd really like to displace his knight. Then I can get mated in the white squares. So it's pretty tricky. As long as I keep this white square bishop, he's not going to be able to checkmate me on the white squares. It's kind of hard to break through, though. Their increment. Maybe I should be trying to trade queens, actually. This is kind of counterintuitive. Oh my god. All right. Am I going to get mated here? Yeah, it looks like it. Three-second increments left. Well, what's the deal? Oh, this way. He's going to mate me with increments left. Another increment play. Played too fast. I'm up a rook. No, but hold on. Is there a forced mate? Pretty amazing play with seconds increments left. For Zen chess. Queen h4 is not actually threatening anything. I don't know, I guess I was lost somewhere. Feels like I was I was lost somewhere here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm lost. Takes, king f1, rook f3 check. What did he play? Queen h3 check. This is good enough. King e2. This was the blunder. So he has rook e3 check, winning my queen basically. Yeah, he's just winning my queen. Nice to know that you can't play perfectly with 2 seconds per move. Okay, I definitely played too fast there. But no, I mean, it was actually really nice compensation for black. He sacked 2 pawns for this position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just 1. So this is actually good for me according to the computer, but then it changes its mind. I'm supposed to take on g5. That would have been a lot better. This looks like it was a big mistake, not taking on g5. So I played knight c6. He takes. Now he should take on f4, but instead he did queen f7. So it would basically be the same thing after g takes f4. Both of us misplayed this at this point. But opposite-colored bishops, I'm not sure I'm winning this. I mean, so I take here. It's very much like the game. Black has the dark squares, white has the white squares. I'm not convinced this is all that great. I have no way to break through. His castling queenside worked out. He didn't have a force mate. He was winning my queen. Yeah, it's easily winning. If he just wins my queen, it's game over. Check, only move, rook f3. After this, he's still winning. Rook check here. King f2 is mate, and king here. I would have played like this, I guess. I don't know. Rook d3 check. So, although it's complicated, he's technically not up material. It would have taken a computer to play this perfectly. Bishop f2, rook takes d5, c takes d5. You know, material is equal here, but my pawns are all falling apart. And he's getting this important pawn here, this pawn on d5. You know, so, I mean, if white, you know, was facing a really strong computer or a human with more time, I mean, you're definitely losing. But against a human with just increments left, I started to play too fast, which is actually a bad idea. At one point I realized that my position is compromised, so then time is your only chance, basically. But in general, when you're playing with the increment, you should not play for time. You know, maybe I was playing a little bit too much, thinking about the clock here, my time advantage. It's not enough. With an increment of 3 seconds, you really need to win on the board. Anyway, all right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow night with my subscriber stream. It's 7 p.m. CEST on Thursday night. Thank you for the games. I'm sorry for those of you who I didn't get to play against. We're playing, let's see, Blitz and Classical and game analysis tomorrow. So if you guys are subscribers or you subscribe tomorrow, we can like analyze games. And if you want to pick a game from lichess or one of your own tournaments or something, we can analyze it with everybody here on my subscriber stream tomorrow night. Thank you for choosing to subscribe and watch the stream. My YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube, is where I upload the streams from the live stream as well as other stuff. So if you want to check that out, please share my YouTube channel with your friends and the videos there. We will ask you guys if you can support the stream with a PayPal donation. If not, just hang out with us and play some quality chess. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks to Jeroen and World Loser for moderating, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for playing. Later. Bye.